in 1984, from Sarajevo, Yugoslavia to Los Angeles, California, the ABC Olympic tradition continues.
ABC Sports presents the Professional Bowlers Spring Tour. This week on our fifth and final stop, the bowlers travel to the city that never sleeps, Las Vegas, for the $125,000 Showboat PBA Doubles Classic. In fifth place from Garden Grove, California, Mark Baker and his partner, Brooklyn's Joe Berardi. Our fourth place qualifiers, Ted Hannes and his teammate, Dave Husted. In third place, this year's Seattle Open winner, Don Genalo and his partner, Jim Miller. Qualifying in second place, Steve Fehr and Tennessee's Steve Martin. And our tournament leaders seeking their third doubles win, Marshall Holman and Mark Roth. That's our championship field today. And this, my friends, in Las Vegas is the Mecca for bowling. 106 lanes. And on 2 of those lanes today, we'll find the winner of the Showboat PBA Doubles Classic. It's an exciting, interesting event, and I think you'll enjoy it. Instead of 5 finalists, we have 10. 2 for the price of 1. I'm Chris Schenkel. We're glad to be back here. This is the 23rd year in this exciting city. 10 players, as I said, they are teammates. They bowl all 5 frames on the same lane. We'll tell you more about that later. A man who is doing his first doubles telecast today is Nelson Burton Jr. There's a good reason for it. He won it one year, and he was in the finals with Earl Anthony the other year. So, Bo, welcome to Doubles on TV.
Well, thank you, Chris. And it is a little bit confusing at the start, and it's unique on the Pro Bowlers Tour for 2 reasons, really. The players root for each other. Their score is added together. They bowl 5 frames on each lane, plus they split the prize money. And the key is that one player can stay on one lane, not rotate, for the whole telecast. So he can get locked in, conceivably throw 10, 15 strikes in a row and carry his partner right to the title.
Be fun to watch the strategy, Bo.
Fast action.
See you later. Okay, we'll be back with our very first match here at the Showboat Lanes in Las Vegas. Stay tuned.
The Professional Bowlers Spring Tour. This ABC Sports exclusive is brought to you by light beer from Miller. Everything you've always wanted in a beer and less. By Toyota Trucks. There's an exciting generation of Toyota trucks for 1984. And by Quaker State Motor Oil. Now an easy to pour and easy to reseal plastic bottle.
All right, there you see, instead of 2 bowlers, you see 4. Baker and Berardi on the left. Husted and his partner. Husted will bowl first. And Dave is over on the left lane, Bo, which means that's where he'll bowl his 5 frames.
Chris, this is a decision that the players have to make. They feel that Husted can hit the left lane the best, and hopefully he can get off to a quick start.
And he does just that. And hoping now to answer that opening strike will be the opposition. The opposing team of Mark Baker, at whom you're looking now, 23 years old, 6'4", 210 pounds, and as strong as they come. His partner is Joe Berardi. First shot for that team. Crossing over and leaving the 6 pin on the right lane. So now, of course, Mark, as you look at his statistics, Mark Baker, Garden Grove, California. So both teams have marked a little 5er. Baker and his partner, Joe Berardi. Berardi, an Open champion. Firestone champion. And a Masters champion. Pride and joy of Brooklyn. Here's his first shot. High hit leaving the 6 pin. So that team going to get accustomed to covering the 6 bow.
We're setting up the scoring, Chris, as we see the stats on Joe Berardi. Remember, this is just like the 2nd frame of an individual match. His partner Baker has marked in the 1st frame on the right lane. Berardi's up on the left.
Joe showed his power by really turning it on and covering the 6-pin. He's a 140-pounder. Now, first time today, we look at Dave Husted's partner, Ted Hannes from Zanesville, Ohio. 5-year pro. He has 2 tournament titles to his credit. This year, he's 9th in money earned, $57,955. Another strong one. Boy, the 2 H's, Hannes and Husted, have a double going for them. And speaking of Husted, here he is.
To kind of handicap the teams this year, Chris, we've taken the lifetime averages of all these players in the championship round. The team of Husted and Hannes has a lifetime average of 420 or 210 a man. The team of Berardi and Hannes, Baker has 421, so a close match.
Look at that Husted and Hannes. A 3-bagger for that doubles pair. Here's a replay of the last stroke.
Watch a great break as the 3-pin goes to the sideboard, trips out the 610. Once again, a lot of people call that the crossover or the Brooklyn strike. Great for the lefty if he hits over there in a 1-2, but a tremendous break for right-hander Husted.
Spare working. It slides by and oh. So now, Baker and Berardi. It's a tough break for them, Bo, but what'll he do here early in the match?
It's a makeable split, Chris. He can slide that 2-pin over into the 10-pin area, and when you're only bowling 5 frames on a lane, you have to go for everything unless it's the determining shot or pin carry in the 10th frame. He's going for it.
Beautifully done. That is why they are professionals. Mark Baker, among the youngest in the field, averaging 209 this week, does it almost perfect, wasn't it?
It was perfect, Chris. Tremendous shot, and it takes the pressure off of him and Berardi. Loosen these 2 players up.
All right. Now, Joe Berardi of Brooklyn. He'll have to cover the 4-7. This is our first match. The winner of this doubles will have to meet Don Genalo and Jim Miller. Then Steve Fehr and Steve Martin, and our tournament leaders, Mark Roth and Marshall Holman. All right. All marks thus far, including a conversion of a 210 split, excitement galore, coming up after this.
When this tough Toyota 4-wheel drive truck isn't busy working for you, it's busy putting on a show for you. Taking on trails, climbing hills, and with the highest running ground clearance of any small 4x4, it'll get you places that take your breath away. The Toyota 4-wheel drive truck. It's got the muscle and looks that make the rest of the truck world applaud. Oh, what a feeling, Toyota.
Race after race, lap after lap. Bobby Allison's car kept on running to the National Stock Car Championship and a record for laps completed. He used the same Quaker State motor oil you can buy right off the shelf, refined from 100% Pennsylvania-grade crude.
I don't know if I'd have finished 98% of the laps without Quaker State's 100% pen-grade protection.
Quaker State, America's favorite motor oil. Today, you need an oil this good.
You know, I lease so reliable here from AT&T. It's gone through the Griffith Family School of Hard Knocks and come through with flying colors. Of course, if I ever did have a problem, I'd just call AT&T toll-free or take it to one of their phone centers for exchange. Leasing's smart for me. It's smart because no matter what happens, I can always relax.
AT&T Consumer Sales and Service.
In the Showboat PBA Doubles Classic, Bo, 122 teams.
122 times 2, 244. The average to cash, that's the 40 the spot, 203.9, and 205 to make the top 24. And here's the purse breakdown through the first 5 spots, Chris. $25,000 to the leader.
And as you indicated as we came on camera at the beginning, they'll split it. So it's still a pretty good payday this sunny afternoon in Las Vegas. Right now, here is Ted Hannes. 6'2", 185 pounds. 3 in a row, remember. 4th frame for his team. Wobbling 7.
Ted gives it a second look. An excellent shot. Solid 7, one of the true taps we call in the game of bowling. As you see the numbers on Ted Hanna's a big fellow, 6'2", 185 pounds, pretty good golfer. Zanesville, Ohio, Chris.
Interesting city. It's the only city I know of that has a Y bridge where the Licking and Muskingum rivers come together as they go into the Ohio. That's right, a Y bridge. You could get very confused on a dark night, couldn't you?
Well, with the two rivers coming together there, the confluence there, I'm sure you would find your way home.
Okay, here's his partner now, Dave Husted. All right, 5 frames, 4 strikes, and a spare. Whereas Mark Baker and Joe Berardi now, they have 4 spares in a row, and Baker, a very fine basketball player in high school and junior college. I think that was Joe Berardi telling his partner to go for it.
They trail by 24 pins. Baker and Berardi have to get a few strikes going.
Ooh, it got away. And Mark knew it right at the line.
Slipped a little bit on the approach, Chris, and would set up the championship lanes. These used to be what we call perma lanes, completely synthetic lanes, as you see Baker's profile, and you'll see him slip slightly on his pivot step, the third. Now here, watch this step here. He'll slip right there. Good shot. He just doesn't get that drive through with the right foot. As I was saying, these used to be synthetic lanes. Now they're all wood lanes in 3 sections, and they're a little slippery.
Look at this. 2 conversions.
You didn't make one.
I'll tell you, guy's tough. Young and tough.
Berardi just loosen up here. A lot of pressure that you put on yourself by trying to hold up your opponent in double. Sometimes when you lose yourself, you don't mind as much as letting a partner down.
Well, now let's see if Mark Baker's partner can convert this 5-7. There's Baker.
Well, the Baker-Berardi team showing their spare making and split making expertise. Baker made the 2-10 in the third, the 1-2-8-10 in the fifth. Let's see if Berardi can make the 5-7.
Thanks a lot.
Oohs and ahs from near capacity crowd here in one of the large bowling establishments anywhere in the world, and one of the finest. Ted Hanna's now, Zanesville, Ohio, back up. His team is leading by 42 thanks to 3 in a row, a spare, and a strike up now in the 5th, shooting in the 6th frame. First match. Well, Ted ran that one out, about 4 lanes. And that 6 frames, 5 strikes. Now, Dave Husted from Milwaukee, Oregon. Well, they're going to be hard to beat. They continue stringing them as they have here in the first match. Tournament leader, Marshall Holman and Mark Roth, waiting in the wings. We'll be back.
People think I always...
BC, and Bo Howard Davis gets his 2nd chance at a world lightweight title.
I see he's only lost 1 fight, Chris. Who was that fight? Who did he lose to? A good fighter?
Yes, that was in Edinburgh, Scotland, against the then champion Jim Watt, and ABC covered that, and I really enjoyed it. It was quite an event. And Mark Baker from Garden Grove, California, teamed with Joe Berardi in this PBA Doubles Classic at the Showboat Lanes, leaves this 7-pin profile.
Watch Mark Baker, big, strong fellow. Watch how close he slides to that foul line. It's a good pivot step. Now look at that foot right on up to about 1 inch away from the foul line. A good style. They just can't get it together.
It's Mark having his problems on the approaches today, but he and Joe Berardi managed to smile.
Well, they should be loosened up pretty much by now. They trail in the match by 62 pins. They have a possible 207. They must get going right here.
Joe Berardi, 6 titles, 3 of them majors. From Brooklyn. Now, one of his 2 opponents, Ted Hanna's, is back up. 4th championship round appearance this year. In the Winter Tour and the True Value Open in Peoria, he picked up his 2nd career PBA title. Husted. See what he can do with the 4.67.
Here's a great shot of Ted Hanna's release. Now watch how he drops that ball in behind his back, then gets his thumb underneath, his fingers underneath the ball, and has that nice lift up through the ball, not around the ball. Unfortunately, he pulled it when high left the 4.67.
6 standing, first open frame for the leaders, Husted and Hanna's. In the PBA Doubles Classic, the winner of this game to meet down Genalo and Jim Miller. Ninth frame strike by Hanna's partner, Dave Husted. 47 pins. Mark Baker and Berardi trailing by that amount.
To have any chance at all of catching the Husted-Hanna's duo, Baker must strike here in the 9th frame. Strike working that Berardi set up in the 8th.
Alive.
You see the lead has been cut to 37 pins. Berardi-Baker team. Berardi will finish the 10th frame. All 3 shots. Possible 2.07 would force Husted-Hanna's to get a pretty good count in the 10th.
Joe Berardi, wearing a wireless microphone. You can see it. And his partner. Run down today, Genalo and Miller next. And Steve Fehr and Steve Martin. Will be followed by the tournament leaders, tough Mark Roth and Marshall Holman.
Strike here, they still have an outside chance.
And in Las Vegas, outside chances sometimes are okay.
Well, that's their clutch player. He has Berardi down there in the anchor position. That's part of the strategy of this doubles competition. Berardi staying on the left lane and finishing in the 10th frame. They figured that was what he'd do, and he has been true to form so far.
Strong finish. Congratulations from the opponents, Dave Husted.
Ted Hanna's needs 7 pins on 2 balls. It's fairly easy for a top pro to get 7 on 2 balls to lock up the match. That's a winner.
There you have it. Hard concentrating Ted Hanna's and his partner Dave Husted have won the first match. They will meet Genalo and Miller. The PBT will continue after this.
You are looking at the most advanced shock absorber that Monroe has ever made. Gasmatic, so advanced that in testing, people preferred the Gasmatic ride 3-to-1 over conventional shocks.
The difference was dramatic in the control, the stability, and the comfort.
A ride so superior, if Gasmatics don't give you the best ride ever, we'll replace them no charge. Monroe Gasmatic shocks and struts for the best ride ever, guaranteed.
There we were in no man's land, when the moving truck died in the sun and the sand. So since it seemed we'd be a while, we set up house and we waited in style. And we waited, and we waited, and we waited. Now I know Ryder and some newer. They're tougher, they're strong, and driving a bargain sure didn't pay. So next time I'll think this way, it's Ryder or it's wrong.
I doubt you can find a better deal than the deals that are made right here at Riverside Chrysler Plymouth Dodge. Look at that. 1979 Camaro, $49 down, $121 a month. Or how about $35.88 cash price and it's yours? Or follow me to this. 1978 Luxury Thunderbird, $49 down, $111 a month. How about that cash price? $27.88. Call me today, 476-6684, and tell them Carl sent you.
Saturday on the 12-Star Movie.
You're smart. Farmers ain't smart. I don't know this exactly where you came from or what you were doing, but I think you ought to go back to it because, well, you can't farm worth spit.
The Missouri Breaks, Saturday night on 12. You're watching KDRV, Channel 12, Medford.
continue right here, ABC Television. Today, live at 4, 3 Central, tape 4 o'clock in the Pacific. You'll see action like the women's 200-meter race and more of the grueling decathlon. Dave Husted and Ted Hannes have won the first match. And we asked them, well, how do you pick a partner in doubles competition?
Well, Bo, I was in need of a partner. I wanted a touring player, and Ted Hannes was the best available.
Ted?
Dave and I bowl very well in singles tournaments throughout the year in the same tournament, make the finals together, and I knew Dave would be a good partner for my game.
Great. All right, here's the flight board. 241 to 207 for Hannes and Husted, whom you just heard from. 9 strikes in their victory. And stepping in now with the handshakes, Don Genalo and his partner, Jim Miller. 2 of the quieter bowlers. Let's see if they can make a lot of noise now. Each bowler, 5 frames on the same lane. You're looking at 22-year-old Jim Miller, youngest in this field of 10.
The man who shocked the bowling world when he came on tour a couple years ago, finished 13th in his first tournament and won the Showboat here for $27,000 the second week. Good shot.
And he and Don Genalo finished 3rd here in the PBA Doubles Classic last year.
See the stats on Jimmy Miller. 5'11", 145. That's just about the ideal build for a professional bowler, Chris. Close to the ground, lean and wiry, can go many weeks in a row without much food.
Especially ideal if you can build up the arms and legs like you've done, Bo. Jim looks like he's on his way. He's getting some beef on those arms, isn't he?
Yes, he's been working out quite a bit. And here's another player who really works on his overall strength. Ted Hannes, a big fellow, watches his waistline, does a lot of training, is really a studier of the game of bowling. He's a player that thinks out every move on the approach, and really one of the top players today.
A high hit with the power gets the strike. That's how they started in their first match, which they won over Baker and Berardi, 242 to 207. Husted, like his partner then, striking. Let's see if he can do it again on the left lane.
And you can see the strategy of doubles play. Husted's bowling on the exact same lane he bowled the whole first game on. That's great. Because as we all know, every lane is a little bit different. It's just like putting on a golf course. Every putt is a little different, a little break, and some players like a certain type of putt or a certain type of green. A player's like a certain type of lane condition. David Husted has found this left lane to his liking, and he's been perfect every frame but one.
Tough competitor, Genalo. Genalo wearing a wireless microphone. Gets 5 from Jim Miller, his partner. First strike in their first match. They finished 3rd in the overall competition where there were 122 teams. Finishing 2nd, Steve Fehr and Steve Martin, and our tournament leaders, Mark Roth and Marshall Holman.
Get that. Hit it. Yeah.
Got that little quick lift at the end, Bo.
Has a good flip on the ball, lets his wrist roll through, and he gets a good break in the 3rd frame. He watches as he reacts to this. It's a light hit. The head pin goes to the sideboard, drives out to 2, 4, and 5 for a wall shot strike. Remember, he had a solid 10 in the first frame, and that kind of takes the pressure off his team as they get a double and put some pressure on. Husted-Hannes duo have both started with a strike.
It looks like Ted wants a re-rack.
And if you look at Ted's bowling ball, you see one finger hole white as he sets his ball down, and one finger hole is dark. And Chris, the Professional Bowlers Tour does not allow plugging of bowling balls like they do in the amateurs, so he has allowed a slug. And so he puts that slug in the ball and re-drills it. It has just about facilitates itself the same way plugging does, but there's no way to, as we say, doctor up a bowling ball with a slug.
And Ted Hannes of Zanesville, Ohio, leaves the 4-pin. It's their 2nd game of the afternoon here in Las Vegas.
Same hit that he carried in the first frame. The 2-pin goes to the sideboard, knocks out the 7, but leaves the 4. Hannes tripped that in the first frame. With a conversion here in the 3rd, they would trail by 1 pin through 3 frames.
Ted's first win was in 1981 in the Waukegan Open. All right, and now Dave Husted. His mother and father are here, coming in from Milwaukee, Oregon, to watch him. Dave hasn't had the year that he'd like to have, only 14,000 thus far. Last year, nearly 60,000. All right, we're in our second match. Only one pin separating the four professionals. We'll be back.
Nearly 4 hours. That's how long it took us to paint this room with a roller. Then we painted it in less than 1 hour with the new Wagner Power Roller. A living room that took nearly 7 hours. The Wagner Power Roller finished in less than 3. The Power Roller pumps paint straight from the can to the roller or to any of several optional accessories. Why waste your time painting a pan when you could be painting your walls instead? The Wagner Power Roller, the right tool for painting.
Come on, move it, Ted.
When I work out, I love to sweat. It's how I get the edge. But afterwards, I want to feel dry. So Speed Stick Antiperspirant gives me an edge, too. Speed Stick's the wide stick. It goes on dry for man-sized protection in just a few strokes. Whatever game you're in, get the edge.
Let the wide stick give you the edge. Speed Stick Super Dry Antiperspirant.
By Megan.
Playoff teams collide when Herschel Walker and the New Jersey Generals battle Atlantic Division champion Philadelphia as the Stars put their 14-game winning streak on the line. Or Southern Division champion Birmingham, led by rushing leader Joe Cribbs, tackle Tampa Bay on the USFL Sunday.
With a close match going in the second match, Hannes and Husted have won the first match, but we have the tournament leaders here, the men who have been dominating this tournament, Marshall Holman and Mark Roth. What's the strategy out there today, fellas?
Well, the strategy is just to really make good, pure shots and help your partner out all you can.
Mark, who's going to start the match and who's going to finish?
I'm going to start on 59, and Marshall's going to finish on 60.
That means if you need a strike for all the money, you're going to rely on Marshall Holman to throw one strike for $12,500 in the Mark Roth bank account?
Yeah, this week I am.
If he doesn't do it, what happens?
I haven't decided yet.
All right, good luck, fellas. Back to you, Chris.
Two professionals, a total of 45 victories, tournament titles between them. Okay, they're the tournament leaders. We'll have to wait this game and the next one to see how they produce today. Right now, Don Genalo.
Get there.
Robbed. Don Genalo opened with a strike on that right lane. Didn't get the 10 pin. Mike Durbin is our scorekeeper today. He and his partner won this event last year.
Here's a shot. He rips the 5 out. The 6 pin lies in the channel and doesn't quite knock out the 10.
So continuing to mark and cheering each other on, Don Genalo and Jim Miller, 22-year-old Jim Miller. He won the Invitational here in 1982. He enjoys this bowling establishment. His two idols, Earl Anthony and Marshall Holman. Mesa, Arizona.
Chris, and their team average in the championship round is 443. That's the combined average of the two players in their whole career in the championship round, although Jim Miller has a 224 average with just 3 games.
Get there.
You heard him say get there. Well, it didn't. And he left the 2-5. Now, in professional sports over the years, Bo, all sports, we've noticed the handing out of nicknames is a very common thing. And Jim Miller, as we look at his wife, Robin, Jim was given the nickname Pogo because a friend thought he looked like the cartoon character.
Hold it.
Bowl's better than Pogo.
Jim Miller has a very sound game. He's always been a consistent player out here. He just doesn't have quite the power ball sometimes to keep up with the superstars such as Roth and Holman, but he's been steady and is a developing player, has made a good living.
Ted Hanna's, Husted Hanna's team. They have a 2-pin lead, a strike up in the 4th, now shooting in the 5th. A double, increasing it to 12. The team that won the first match by a score of 242 to 207.
And Julie Hanna's like that shot by her husband. By the way, Julie expecting their first child in August. as David Husted comes up in the 6th frame, can make it a 22-pin lead. Chris, he's really zeroed on this left-hand lane. He's at every ball in the pocket but one.
Leaving the 6 pin, and David is trying to figure out what happened.
Goes right through the heart, almost leaves the 4-6. Watches the ball, impacts the 1-2-3 zone. There, the 4-pin gets knocked out by the 2-pin and takes out the 7. Has a simple spare, the 6-pin. Chris, and he looped his swing behind his back on that shot. So he'd get too far behind his back, and he pulled the shot.
Continuing to mark as Don Genalo is up in a hurry. He and his partner had a one-loss record of 11-4-1, which is pretty strong.
Get up, get up.
And Bo, on their career averages, that team, Genalo and Miller, pretty high.
443, Chris, the highest of the 5 teams we have today. 430 by Roth and Holman in the championship round as Genalo just rips the rack there in the 6th frame. And Genalo really coming back. In the practice shots we watched 1 hour previous to the championship round, Genalo did not get a strike, and here he already has 2. Oh.
And a 2-pin for Jim Miller.
Big shot for the team right there of Jim Miller. Could have brought that lead of Hanna's and Husted down to just 1 pin. Now with a conversion, it will be 11 pins. With 4 frames to go, anybody can win the match.
In our second match, Dave Husted and Ted Hanna's lead by 11. We'll be back after this.
I tell you, playing polo is a lot tougher than it looks.
Sure is.
And even though the horses do the running, you still can work up a thirst.
So after a chucker or two, we have Westerns drink light beer from Miller.
Yeah, light tastes great, and it's got a third less calories than a regular beer.
And it's less filling.
And that's important, because tomorrow we're going to try our hand at water polo.
Yeah, I sure hope those horses can swim.
Me too.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer. And less.
When you buy a new car, you want to keep it looking new. And that's easy with Armor All Protectant. A scientific formula that took a polymer chemist 10 years to develop. It helps keep rubber, vinyl, leather, and plastic looking new. So even though you can't keep your car from getting old, you can keep it from looking old. Armor All. It's science, but it works like magic.
Mary Decker in the women's 1,500 meters, plus decathlon action and much more as the United States Olympic track and field trials continue. Next on ABC.
You're looking at the winners of the first match. On the left, Ted Hanna's and his partner Dave Husted, winning at 241 to 207 with Mark Baker and Joe Berardi. Now reaching the halfway point of their second match, their opponents Don Genalo and Jim Miller. Hanna's and Husted leading by 11, a spare up in the 6th. Hanna's shooting in the 7th.
A tribute to muscle right there. The powerful body of Ted Hanna saved that shot. He slipped on the approach, got a tremendous loft. You see his feet get in the way of the camera shot as he was thrown off balance, yet he still rips the rack, gets the ball in play. The advantage of strength in the game of bowling, when an errant shot is in the process of being made, you can rectify it with a muscular movement at the end, known as the foul line adjustment.
Down at the line, hoping. Dave Husted. 6'2", 165 pounds as we replay his shot.
2 off hits that the pros catch. We saw Hanna's rip the rack there in the 7th frame. You see David Husted trip the 4 here in the 8th. This team has really got it going, Chris. And one thing they have done, the Husted Hanna's team, has not left a strike standing by itself. Every time a partner got a strike, they made a double out of it.
Don Genalo sort of disgusted with that result.
Well, Well, this lane condition really doesn't favor the Don Genalo type of shot. As you see his stats, hobbies of golf, he's a pretty good golfer. He likes the lanes hooking a little bit more, and they're pretty slick out there today, and it favors the power player.
Thank you. Slipping, sticking at the line, and blowing it.
Come on, Jimmy.
And he says, affirmatively, come on, Jim. Jim Miller.
It's more than come on. They're going at a 194 pace. The other team's going at a 228 pace. This is a must frame for Miller. He's there. Now Ted Hanna's with that team double working, coming up in the 9th frame, 34-pin lead. Can really put the putty to the Miller-Genalo team. With a strike here, they would be going at a 238 pace and almost be an insurmountable lead for Miller-Genalo duo. Ted Hanna's just a little disturbed by an extraneous noise in the building here. Knowing it's a crucial shot, steps back off the approach, resets his thoughts.
The wise thing to do, right?
Yes, especially a deliberate player like Hanna's, where he has to collect his thoughts very carefully before every shot.
Hanna's and Husted are starting 3 near the end of the second match. 242 to 207, their first victory.
This is the big shot. He runs it out to the left. He knows it's going to be light. He sees the 5-pin moving over near the 7. Watch him react when it knocks the 7 out. Pumping home the money as Harry Golden, National Tournament Director, comes out and takes a look at a re-rack that was asked or requested by David Husted. The team gets 3 re-racks, Chris, instead of the individual this week.
Harry back on tour after open heart surgery. One of the few that have been with the series all 23 years, which the 23rd year comes to a close today.
But we will be back for a 24th.
Mm-hmm.
Husted to close the door. 10th frame.
How far is the door from being closed now, Nelson?
The door is now closed. Chris, even if he misses both pins, the team of Husted Hanna's will have a 222 score. Genalo and Miller, best they can do is 214. Husted with this conversion of 610, the team would be in the 230 range.
Big day for Dave Husted and his partner Ted Hanna as they have won their second match. Now they go against Steve Fehr and Steve Martin. That match coming up following this.
9-9.
The battle between the chef and the baker has been going on for centuries, until the Shop Carousel convection microwave oven brought them together. As a microwave, it's better for fish and casseroles. As a convection oven, it's better for cakes and pies. And the Shop Carousel turns the food so you don't have to, for perfect even cooking every time. The Shop Carousel convection microwave oven. From Sharp Minds come Sharp Products.
Shape up your waist. Shape up your thighs. Shape up your homeowner's insurance.
Homeowner's insurance?
Now's the time to shape up your homeowner's insurance at Allstate. Just bring in your policy and compare. We'll do everything we can to save you money. And with an Allstate Shape Up and Save discount, you may qualify for additional savings of up to 15%. So run on in and save.
Shape up and save.
It's okay if you just drive in.
You're in good hands with Allstate.
After 2 hours in traffic, the Caseys will stop for lunch. They'll gulp down chili dogs and fries, but soon, Mom and Dad won't be feeling too well. Whether it's Mom's upset stomach or Dad's heartburn, the one that coats is the only one they need. Pepto-Bismol. As it coats your stomach, it relieves heartburn. Upset stomach even relieves diarrhea. Pepto-Bismol. For most common stomach discomforts, the one that coats is the only one you need.
Yes, on Wide World of Sports today. WBC World Lightweight Championship from San Juan. Howard Davis getting his second shot at the world title, this time against champion Edwin Rosario. That'll be a tough fight. And then a special report on the United States Olympic track and field trials from Los Angeles, California. Always exciting as they lead up to the July games in Los Angeles right here on ABC. So now, The team of Hannah's and Husted have won their second match. They go against a tough team coming up, a very tough team, Martin and Fehr. Nelson Burton Jr. in the Rolaids Tip of the Week is joined by Al Utek, physically disabled, wheelchair bowling. We've been well aware of it for years, having worked with the National Association, and Bo today will be working with Al Utek, who bowls from a wheelchair. Watch.
The Professional Bowler's Tip of the Week is brought to you by Rolaids.
On the bowling tip of the week, I've given various hints to help different groups of players. We've had the senior citizen tips, we've had tips for men, tips for women, and tips for junior bowlers. Now we have another group of bowlers that still bowls a lot in this country, and that's the disabled. And with me is national champion Al Utek. Al, welcome to the bowling tip of the week.
Hello, Bo, it's a pleasure to be here.
Al, you've won almost every tournament you've ever bowled in, and I'm sure you can give the physically disabled some hints and show them some of the problems that you may have bowling from a wheelchair. What's the most important thing?
Bo, the most important thing is to build your upper body strength up.
Well, I see you've been working at that a little bit.
Yeah, you gotta get and then the next one is ball speed. So I suggest that you use a lighter ball, like a 10-pound ball, one that will fit your physical ability. Well, I use a 15-pound bowling ball, and many national champions have used 9 or 10-pound balls.
Okay, Al, we have 2 points there, upper body strength and ball weight. How about the problems you may have at the foul line, delivering your ball and playing the lane?
Well, Bo, first of all, just like on your feet, you want to be locked into your chair. My style is I wrap one arm around the chair and grab the off wheel. And then I lean over slightly, and then, like on your feet again, you want to keep the ball straight, the arm swing straight through the ball. So you got to keep the ball close to your side, and then in the chair, you want to keep it close to the wheel.
Al, you keep your arm close to the wheel. Let's see a shot here, that championship form of national champion Al Utek. Get a great reaction from everyone. Al Utek averaged 210 to win the national championship. You've seen his style, and remember his tips. Number 1, work on that upper body strength. Number 2, get a ball weight to fit your style, anywhere from 9 to 16 pounds. Number 3, lock your chair in solid at the line. And number 4, keep that arm close to your chair.
Roger Staubach for Rolaids.
How do you spell relief?
R-O-L-A-I-D-S. If you got heartburn and you take Rolaids, you get 100% relief because it's gone.
R-O-L-A-I-D-S. I wouldn't use anything but Rolaids.
Like a sponge, Rolaids antacid medicine consumes 100% of the acid required to give millions 100% relief.
I spell relief R-O-L-A-I-D-S. We keep Rolaids in our first aid kits.
For millions of Americans, Rolaids spells 100% relief.
Okay, Ted Hannah's and Dave Husted have now won 2 matches, a total of 16 strikes with scores of 241 and 235, eliminating Baker and Berardi, Genalo and Miller. And now it's Steve Martin and Steve Fehr. Fehr from Cincinnati, Martin from Kingsport, Tennessee. And they should be a very, very tough match for Hannah's and Husted. Earlier, we asked Fehr and Martin if the pressure is different as you're bowling with a partner. And here was their answer.
Well, I feel, Bo, like there's less pressure because anytime I would happen to bowl a bad game, I know Steve's right there to pick me up, and I feel confident in Steve, and that's why we like bowling doubles together.
Steve Martin.
I feel real confident with Steve. There's no pressure on me because I feel like he's one of the great shot makers, and I just feel real loose bowling with a great bowler like Steve.
Well, Chris, they've had a great record in doubles before, as they've been in contention many years before in the Showboat doubles, and the composite lifetime averages of these 2 teams is identical. 420 for the Husted Hannah's duo, and for the Martin and Fehr duo, their lifetime championship round average is 420 also. So 210 a man average out there. Heads up, semifinal match.
Husted. Leaving the 10-pin on that left lane, Husted and Hannah's against Martin and Fehr.
There's a hit that we used to see carry quite often in years back, and what has happened, the manufacturers are making quite a bit heavier pin for the players to play against. This week it's a 3-pound 7-ounce pin as opposed to the 3-pound 2-ounce we used to bowl against, and it makes it a much more difficult shot.
Right, Bo. And a lot of the players having trouble sticking at the line here. on the approach surfaces. Let's see what Steve Martin, he's built close to the lanes, 5'6", 170 pounds, 25-year-old pro from Kingsport, Tennessee. 6 titles. Smooth.
It's kind of break I wanted to start with.
I love those wireless microphones.
Somewhat of a facetious remark by Steve Martin as he throws a pretty good shot down there and gets a bad break. The 4-9 split. Needs to take the 4-pin and slide it over into the 9-pin area to convert the split. About a 5 or 6 to 1 odd shot for the top pros.
Big odds anywhere, including Vegas. So Steve Martin, unfortunately, opens, and he says, come on, Pards, meaning Steve Fehr of Cincinnati, a 29-year-old pro with 2 titles, and his first championship round appearance since placing 5th in last year's Buffalo Open. Watch his style.
Cross.
An errant shot right there. And Chris, you said his style. He has that bent elbow style. He's one of the few amateurs in this country that has made the transition over to the Pro Bowlers Tour as he takes out a little powder there to put on his fingers. A lot of the pros carry a little vial of powder in their pocket or rosin to hold on the bowling ball. And he also uses a 4-finger grip. Look at all 4 fingers he's putting in the ball. The only finger that's not in the ball is the little finger on his right hand.
Cover it up.
He did just that. A man who's been 10th and 5th in this doubles competition. Once with Martin and another time with Dave White. Okay, we go back to the winners now. Ted Hannes of Zanesville, Ohio, and his partner Dave Husted have won 2 matches. This is their 3rd. The winner of the semifinal game goes against, get this, Mark Roth and Marshall Holman, tournament leaders. As we indicated, coming into this 3rd game, they had 16 strikes, now 17.
Well, the prolifercy of strikes, really, Chris, is caused by, naturally, the talent of the players we have, but the lanes that being able to stay on one lane. David Husted, going in this 3rd match, has never had to throw a ball on the right-hand lane, and his partner, Ted Hannes, has never had to ball on the left lane, and staying on one lane is much easier than crossing over.
2-4-5 for Dave Husted.
Well, this is the first time they haven't just jumped out on their opponents. They've had a tremendous lead by the 3rd or 4th frame in the first 2 matches, and this match here will be a lot closer as we see that Husted slides by for the 2-4-5 spare. With a conversion, the match will be very close.
And now for the 2nd time, Steve Martin is back up. The Tennessee Twister, they call him.
Has had numerous problems with his wrist, Chris, and a lot of it is caused by that tremendous twist that he makes with his hand as he lets go of the ball, but he's alleviated that problem quite a bit and cut the hook down.
Whoa. And a former U.S. Open champion leaves a lone pin, the 6th.
Steve Martin has cut that hook down, and watch his release. Now, most people think that players go around the ball or over the top of the ball to impart a hook. Watch this replay. See his thumbs out there to the left, and his fingers stay directly behind the ball, and the wrist action snaps the high revolution on the ball and creates the hook.
Nearly stumbled because of sticking at the line, Steve Martin.
Come on, puppy, hold me in.
These lanes, Chris, are sectional lanes. They're put in 3 sections plus a 4th approach section, and the reason they're slipping a little bit is they have 2 different kinds of finishes, I believe. They have what they call a water-based finish on the approach and a polyurethane-based finish on the lane, and for some reason it doesn't become compatible with the humidity in here.
Didn't come up, but only the 2-pin now for Steve Fehr of Cincinnati, who has won $23,000 up to today, and his partner $15,540.
Almost a 2-4-5 like Husted left, but Steve Fehr gets a good break with a head pin coming back, knocking out the 4-5. The 2-pin, a very simple spare. With a conversion, they will trail by 13 pins through 4 frames.
All right.
All right, buddy.
13 pins separating these four professionals. The winner of this game will meet Holman and Roth.
You know, back in 1941, AC invented the copper core spark plug for planes like my P-51 Mustang.
Test pilot Chuck Yeager for AC Delco.
It's amazing that some of today's cars work so hard, they need that copper core technology also.
And AC's got it.
AC has fire-range spark plugs for most all cars, and they're engineered to give you up to 30,000 miles of reliable performance. AC Delco, the smart parts. For 40 years, they've never let me down.
You know, one of the best things about being an ex-big leaguer is getting freebies to the game. Call the front office, bingo. And once these fans recognize me, I probably won't even have to pay for my light beer from Miller. Down it, rock! I love them. These fans know I drink light because it's less filling and it tastes great. Good seats, huh?
You're in the wrong seat, buddy. Come on.
Oh, I must be in the front row.
Come on.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
Good seats, hey, buddy? He missed the tag! He missed the tag!
76 Olympic gold medalist Howard Davis wants to take the title from undefeated champ Edwin Rosario live. Plus a special Olympic track and field report on ABC's Wide World of Sports today.
The two members of the Professional Bowlers Association, Ted Hannes and Dave Husted, have won 2 matches and now in their third have a 13-pin lead over Steve Martin and Steve Fehr. Semifinal match, the winner to meet Marshall Holman and Mark Roth, going for their third doubles title. But bowling well today, this man, Ted Hannes and Dave Husted. 4th frame, spare working. But now they're running into some problems, Bo. The 4-6-7 for Hannes.
That's the first time they've made a big mistake, which has caused them to drop out of the lead in a match. They were way ahead in the first match, eventually pulled away in the second match, and now Hannes has left the 4-6-7. If he just knocks off 2 pins here, the team will trail for the first time today by 1 pin.
All right, 2 victories, 241 to 207 for Hannes and Houston over Baker and Berardi, and then 235 to Genalo and Jim Miller's 182. And that year, Bo, I think they finished second behind you.
Right, 1982, they gave us a tight match.
Yes. Changing lane conditions, being tired, perhaps?
I think, Chris, that they've just had a letdown. They had such a lapper the first match, and they really weren't pressured the second match. Their ball speed for David Husey's not throwing the speed he was using in the first match. And Ted Hannes just came off with an errant shot there in the 4th frame. So the combination, you know, there's that momentum that goes along in sports. It goes in a 2-man combination out here, and sometimes they both go bad at the same time.
Like Fuzzy Zeller, momentum at Winged Foot last weekend and Monday, right?
9 shots down there by the pros. The only strike was in the 2nd frame by Ted Hannes. So the action has slowed down a little bit, but Steve Martin, who runs a pro shop in his hometown of Kingsport, Tennessee, has a chance to maintain the lead.
And comes up the 1-2-10.
Not to be. The first frame he left the 4-9. The second frame he went right through the heart and left the 6-pin, an easy spare. Now he comes up here for his 3rd shot, the 5th frame, makes the adjustment on the approach, gives the ball some room. As we said, the lanes are very slick, leaves the 1-2-10, needs to drive that head pin over to the 10-pin to convert the spare, and they would trail by just 2 pins.
Hey, 3rd split conversion of the day. All right, we're replaying that hit.
Just a perfect shot. The head pin drives right into the neck of the 10-pin. Look at this reaction. He knows he has it. That's a big picker-upper for his team. Let's see what Steve Fehr does. See if they can get the first strike in the 6th frame.
5 feet 9 inches tall, 153, 29 years old.
Boy, oh boy, those lanes slick. You could see the turn and the spin on that ball, but it just wouldn't bite through all that lane conditioner. As Steve Fehr once again goes to the rosin out of his pocket. Here the ball just looks like it wants to hook. It's turning, but then again, it does not bite the lane surface enough, and he leaves the 2-4-8, a difficult spare double wood.
See to the right of center. Well-played shots here at the Showboat Lanes in Las Vegas. We're live, the 5th and final stop of the PBA Spring Tour. And the final stop for our 23rd season, but we'll be back in January with year 24.
Ted Hennis, who has the only strike so far in the match, being in the 2nd frame, up here in the 6th.
Beautifully done. Immediately brings Husted up. Not having to wait for the ball because it's already there. We speak of longevity. Bud Fisher has been with the tour since its beginning. In fact, was the first employee of the PBA, and he says he's going to retire, Bo. But we hope he won't.
Bud's the publicity director of the Professional Bowlers Association, one of the great publicity directors anywhere for any sporting group in the country. He'll be a part-timer. I know Bud, he'll never hang it up forever.
And he has John Campos and Phil Ferguson helping him along the way, and they're both great. We'll be back after this.
You think I'm tough? This is tough. TR3 ain't no wax. Man, this stuff is something else. TR3 goes on easy, stays on hard. Makes your car beautiful. Like me. TR3 fights off the enemies like dirt, sun, and grime. You want tough? This is tough. TR3. Take it from me, Mr. T.
Sharp introduces its Computer to Go, the PC 5000.
That Sharp may have a printer, but it can't possibly have 128K power like my desktop IBM.
Sure, and it expands to 256.
That Sharp can't possibly do word processing and communication and spreadsheets like my desktop IBM.
Sure, with bubble memory program.
Well, what doesn't it do?
It doesn't stay glued to a desktop.
Like my IBM.
Sharp's affordable, portable Computer to Go, the PC 5000. From Sharp minds come Sharp products.
Mary Decker in the women's 1,500 meters, plus decathlon action and much more as the United States Olympic track and field trials continue. Next on ABC.
Wide World Today, live from San Juan. Howard Davis, another shot at the World Lightweight Championship, the WBC, against Bo. Edwin Rosario's rough.
Well, I've seen Rosario as they also have the Olympic track and field trials, Chris, which would be excellent, especially the decathlon that'll be in there. But, you know, Rosario, I've watched him fight, Chris. He's a lot of fast action. I'll tell you what, Howard Davis, if he gets the pace going and gets late in the rounds, can give Rosario a lot of problems.
The only gold medal winner at Montreal who has yet to win a World Pro title.
Don't count him out.
Nope. Oh, Steve Martin of Kingsport, Tennessee, loved that. It's like catching one of those 8 or 10-pound bass that they have in Kingsport, Bo.
You can get some big stringers, the largemouth bass, from Kingsport, Tennessee, down on through Georgia into northern Florida, Chris. Sounds like you've spent a little time on the American Sportsman. Here's Steve Fehr. Important shot. Trail by 15. Their team has their first strike up. They can cut the lead of Hannah's Husted down to 5 pins, 8th frame.
Look at that concentration.
No way. He's so hot out there, Chris. He's just losing the ball. Watch, he'll reach in his pocket, I guess, and go for that rosin again. He's got to be losing the ball off his hand. The ball just a completely errant shot. Anytime a pro would throw that one that far off target, he had to just lose it at the line. Couldn't hold on to the ball. The heat has to be a factor. Tough spare, too, the 3-9. An unusual spare for a right-hander.
Beautifully done, Steve Fehr of Cincinnati. It's not only warm inside, well, cool where we are, but down there, it is hot outside, Bo, over 100.
Over 100 degrees in Las Vegas area, has gone 76 days without rain out there. I think that's a new record, as our producer Carol Letty has informed us, since 1942. 76 days without rain, long time.
Carol's got those stats.
Ted Hanna's. Somebody moved back in the area where the photographers are, Chris. There's a blocked off area to the right where photographers are behind a shield, but Ted Hanna's, with that tremendous peripheral vision and tremendous concentration, make sure everything's set just in the right position. Back on the approach, the team has a double working 15-pin lead, can extend to 25.
have shown that one. He wanted that one badly.
What this team has done so well is to keep their strikes together. As you see his reaction, he knows it. He's telling it, Hook, come on, come on. Now watch it carry the 6 out. The 10 is still going. What they have done so well, Chris, in the 3 matches, they've only let one strike sit out by itself, and that was in the 2nd frame when Hannah's got a strike and Husted left it hanging. They have a turkey working now.
3-pin.
That shot there would have really put them in good shape, but with a spare here, they'll be going at a 2:05 pace. The Martin-Fehr duo still has a chance for 2:01. The match is up for grabs.
Semifinal match, and remember, the winner of this will meet Mark Roth and Marshall Holman for the title. Now, Steve Martin.
Former U.S. Open champion, pro shop operator in Kingsport, Tennessee, in a must situation. He has to strike to keep his team in the match.
Nope, 1, 2, 4, 7.
So much goes together. When one player can't get it together, the other player can't get together. It's a wry smile from Steve Fehr. He knows his team is in real trouble. Fehr Martin, conversion of the 1, 2, 4, 7 would leave them at a 177 pace, almost hopeless. Steve Fehr must strike, Chris, cannot win. If he throws a double, there's an outside chance, just like in the first match, that the Husted-Hannah's combination would fall apart in the 10th, and they could squeak by with a victory.
And at that time in the first match, Berardi and Baker really put on the pressure at the end to no avail.
Berardi finished with 3 strikes to put a lot of pressure on there, and Baker, of course, set it up in the 9th frame, but not to be in this match. This team will be in the 175-76 range. Husted-Hannah's already around the 200 range.
And the tournament leaders, you've heard pinfall throughout our telecast. Roth and Holman have been practicing a lot. Well, of course, the leaders can smile, can't they? Hannah's and Husted enjoying every minute.
Oh!
Tough break. 10-pin, a 175 for Fehr and Martin.
Ted Hannah's just has to keep it in the building. If he hits 1 pin and 2 shots, they are the winner. We'll go on to meet Roth and Holman.
That will be our final match. Dave Husted, Ted Hannah's against Marshall Holman and Mark Roth. The Professional Bowler Springfield will continue after this message and a word from our local station.
Toyota presents the 59.98 work week. Monday, it works. Tuesday, it works. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, it works. Saturday, it works for the fun of it. The Toyota Standard Bed Truck. And at $59.98, you got a sticker price that hasn't changed in over 2 years. No wonder the truck world is saluting Toyota. Oh, what a feeling. Sundays are optional. Toyota.
17 hours. That's how long it took us to paint this house with the brush. Then we painted it in just 6.5 hours with the Wagner Power Painter. This wicker chair took over an hour, but less than 5 minutes with a Wagner Power Painter. A shutter that took 20 minutes, a Power Painter finished in only 3. It's a tool so versatile, it has a flexible spray tip and a way to draw paint right from a can. A Wagner Power Painter. It's the right tool for painting.
The unknowing victims of a Tennessee bankruptcy, Monday on ABC's World News.
Don't say beer, say bull, the Schlitz malt liquor bull.
The bull has more taste than beer.
No one does it like the bull.
This is Dick Clark inviting you to the finals of the 33rd Annual American Bandstand Dance Contest. All this month, the dance floor sizzles. Now, who'll be the dance team of the year? Can you pick the winners? Don't miss the finals of the American Bandstand Dance Contest.
Saturday on KDRV 12.
The foolishness of this child. He thinks because I speak of buffalo, I do not understand blast-off. He's afraid to tell me that he wants to swoosh to the stars. In truth, if I were younger, I would want to swoosh too.
These are our children.
I ask you to journey to our village tonight. In a ceremony, I will ask you to become members of my family and tribe. You younger folks will have a groovy time.
The Brady Bunch, weekdays at 4. KDRV, Channel 12, Medford.
Well, the H pros have won 3 matches. Ted Hannes and Dave Houston going through Baker Berardi, Genalo Miller, and now Fehr Martin. Only 4 strikes in that 202 victory, and now they go against the tournament leader, Roth and Holman, Bo.
The toughest duo that we've ever had in doubles competition, Roth and Holman. As you see all the stats for the Showboat Doubles Classic, we had a field of 122 players, kind of low scoring, 203, 205. Average to cash, that would be 40th place, $1,000. And here are some of the other players that qualified for this year's field. See the Voss-Weber combination. They were close. Pick up 6,000. Henry Gonzalez, Trask. Watch for your favorites. Wunderlich and Lightfoot. They just lost the last game. The 2 lefties. Durbin, Slacker, defending champions. Skidmore on a roll. Knippel, Schlegel, the straight shooters. Ozayo, some of the other top players. Here's another Steve Martin. That's a great college player in there. The Buzzsaw and the Tornado in 17th place. Jimmy Pritz, Wayne Webb, the Green Machine. Bob Warren had 300. Palumbi, we saw him win in Tucson. Big Bill Straub from Nebraska. Monticelli, the international player, Guppy Troop, Mark Williams, Del Ballard, and your guy, Mike Edwards from Oklahoma. Round out the top 24, Chris, as the players are still practicing out there. Remember, Holman and Roth still get 6 practice shots each. As you look at the commissioner of the PBA, the man who keeps it all together every year, the likable, brilliant Joe Antonora, down here for not only the PBA tournament, but the Bowling Proprietors Association of America convention, Chris. They held the U.S. Open on the PBA, and they have more than 90,000 lane beds around the country, and they're great sponsors of professional bowling.
And the proprietors are something. Even lady proprietors from all over the country.
Well, you see Holman and Roth, they're practicing on the championship pair the same way they brought their strategy. You see 7, 8, 9,000 already gone by the wayside, but $12,000 difference in this last game. 6,000 a man, 25,000 to the winners.
So it's going to be the 2 older fellows in navy blue on the left against what they would call young pros. Husted and Hannes, who have won 3 matches coming in, and well-deserved is this applause from a large crowd. This and the Showboat Invitational are the only 2 establishments in the country that do not charge admission to come see the events. Mark Roth leaves the 7-pin.
The only factor I can feel in this match, Chris, is we watch Roth throw that first shot, is the heat. Mark Roth does not like it very hot. He uses the thumb hole and finger holes very tight, and the ball will be slipping off his hand quite a bit. He likes to loft that ball way out the lane. See him lay it short, he's losing it.
Mark Roth living in Spring Lake Heights, New Jersey. His wife Jackie back there enjoying probably the cooling breezes off the Atlantic. Now Ted Hannes. They qualified 4th, but they have won 3 matches to gain this spot.
Ted Hannes, the state of Ohio junior champion in 1975. He averaged a sensational 210 at the age of 17.
Left the 4-7. And, well, Julie, expecting their first child, can smile.
Important for Hannes and Husted to get off to a fast start against the Roth-Holman duo. Hannes, Husted, as we said, have a career lifetime average combination of 420, 210 a man. Roth and Holman just a little bit better with a lot of games under their belt at 430, 215 a man.
With a vengeance, covered the 4-7. Now his partner, Dave Houston. For Dave, it's unusual. First time on television in 21 this year. And then this.
It's amazing how the quality of your opponents has an effect on your shot. Hannes and Husted realize they're going against, I feel, the two top players in the world today, Holman and Roth. And all of a sudden they're trying to put a little something extra on the ball. Hannes went high, and Husted went light with a little extra speed. We've seen this washout converted once today. He needs to drive that head pin over the 10 pin.
So the door is open for Marshall Holman and Mark Roth. And Bo, you talk about Holman and Roth, two best in the world today. I think I'm sitting with two very good ones, Nelson Burton and Mike Durbin.
Well, Durbin has won this title. He's won the Firestone many times, and I agree with you. But there's one factor that the Burton-Durbin duo has.
What's that?
This two don't. We add up to 85 years of age between the two of us, and that doesn't last very long out here on the Pro Tour.
Many a good tune has been played on an old violin.
Thanks for the vote of confidence.
All right. Well, here's a youngster in their minds, 29 years old, Marshall Holman. Unquestionably the most colorful player on tour. Watch his first shot. He's trying to stare it down.
Doubles, you only get 5 shots on each lane. Roth has been around the pocket but light. Here's Holman with that nice steady head, a good solid profile. Look how he doesn't pull up at the line, just keeps that hand underneath the ball, shovels through it, good lift. He's got it all. He's now the leading average on the Professional Bowlers Tour this year with 212 plus.
And the man that's 10th on the money list this there, 55,085, is bowling with the leading money winner in Mark Roth with 83,340. Durbin is in second. And this is the man that's second behind Earl Anthony in about everything. Titles, money won. What a competitor. He is the big catalyst in that pair.
The good swing, the good lift, and the tremendous self-confidence. The tighter the pressure, the better Mark Roth gets. The easiest way to beat Mark Roth, Chris, is not wake him up. Try to lull him to sleep. Talk to him over there a little bit so he doesn't know the score.
All right, Ted Hannes, who's been powerfully good today. Following an open. Jumped right back. And Nelson, as you pointed out, one of the keys to their success is that they follow each other with strikes. So let's see if Husted can do it like they have in the past games.
Excellent point, Chris. That's been the catalyst for their 3 victories. Every time that Hannes has struck, except once, David Husted has followed with a double. Let's see what happens here in a critical situation. They trail by 14, can cut the lead of Roth Holman to 4. Not to be. Tried to fit that ball in there, and it was a pretty good shot. Now watch the 6 pin. That's the second pin on the right-hand part of your screen. Just does not quite get enough impetus to drive into the 10. It doesn't lay down in the channel, but it doesn't get the 10 either.
But a key is they're continuing to mark. And this is their final game against Holman and Roth. More of this championship match following this.
Confident, sure, secure. Sure salutes America's Olympic athletes.
Raise your hand.
You got it.
Raise your hand.
You know it. You feel confident, secure. We salute America's Olympic athletes, past, present, and future. Let's raise our hands to them all.
Raise your hand. Raise your hand. If you're sure.
Sure antiperspirant, helping you stay dry and confident, is a proud sponsor of the United States Olympic team.
Well, goodbye, good old Head and Shoulders. Gotta use new, improved Head and Shoulders. Come on, what makes this better than this?
Controls dandruff better than ever.
What's to improve? All right, it's richer. And it smells nice. Hey, really nice. Improved? It's great.
Hey, your hair looks gorgeous.
Yeah, well, always knew I'd like it better anyway.
New improved Head and Shoulders in regular and conditioning formulas.
'76 Olympic gold medalist Howard Davis wants to take the title from undefeated champ Edwin Rosario live. Plus a special Olympic track and field report on ABC's Wide World of Sport today.
These are the Showboat lanes. Following will be ABC's Wide World of Sports, the WBC World Lightweight Championship, and a special report on the United States Olympic track and field trials from Los Angeles, California. From Oregon, Jacksonville, Oregon, Marshall Holman. Crossover leaving the 10, the man with 19 PBA titles.
And Marshall asked me just before we go on the air to welcome Channel 12 up there in Medford, Oregon, ABC affiliate KDRV, that says they've been giving us tremendous coverage over, Marshall Holman coverage over the years, and would like to continue. So thanks for that little promotion, Marshall, as he has an easy spare, the 10-pin, maintain a 14-pin lead.
All right. Well, Marshall has done his thing in the fourth frame. Let's see what his partner, Mark Roth, now will do in the fifth. Last time up, he had a strike.
29 PBA titles, second only to Earl Anthony, who has 40. Roth only 40,000 short of the $1 million career earnings.
Right in the middle, the 5.
Well, we could see it with some of the other players' balls, Chris, losing it off their hand because of the perspiration, and then just not getting enough bite at the back end. The lanes are pretty slick. See that ball deflect? Hits the 1, 3, and just slides by the 5-pin. You don't see that very often with Mark Roth.
Very concerned, Mark Roth, at this point with his partner, Marshall Holman. Ted Hennes, Dave Husted. Regardless of what happens as we get a re-rack, in this match, you have to give Hennes and Husted a lot of credit. They've won 3 matches today to get into the finals against the tournament leaders.
A stabilizing factor on this team has been Ted Hennes. He has been around the pocket, had either strikes or easy spares, one open frame, all the way through the matches today. He has kept zeroed in on the right-hand lane, lane 60 here in the championship round. Needs to set up another strike for Dave Husted to work on.
And a 10-pin.
With all the balls he's had in the pocket today, that's only the second tap. He had the solid 7 on his second shot in the first match. Here he leaves the solid 10. Just nothing you can do about this. A good shot. 9 out of 10 times you'll carry that. The 10th time you have an easy spare.
All right. Now Husted will shoot. There you see the story. Holman and Roth leading by 14, so it's important that Husted now do well here in the 6th. He took a little off the speed, leaving the 3-6.
Chris, he's apparently lost. Now, he was pretty close to zeroed in for a game and a half. Now he's looking down at the approach. What kind of adjustment should I make? I threw it a little hard and I went wide. I moved to the right and threw it hard and it went high. Just hope for the best. He needs to stay close in the match, come down in the 8th and 10th frame. Hopefully he can keep it close.
And there is a costly mistake. Costly.
Said the lane surface is very slick. You see the ball trying to break, can't get up to the 3-pin, slides by. Wide open door for Roth and Holman. Let's see if they walk in.
Again a 10 for today, very calm, Marshall Holman.
Watch the release of Marshall Holman, one of the terrific strike balls and arm swings in the game. See, he rotates that right shoulder back, then the swing comes inside out, the fingers stay underneath the ball, the wrist snaps through after the thumb comes out. High revolution, pretty good size hook, and tremendous strike power. for the second consecutive time after the 10.
Oh, he liked that. Marshall Holman won the Firestone in '76 over Billy Hardwick, who is in the audience today. And he's kept winning a total of 16 championships. And here's his partner now. 26-pin lead.
Despite one strike. A horrible shot, Chris. He got a good break, leaving the 3-6-9, but Roth lost the ball at the top of the swing. He squeezed at the bottom, and then just trying to give it room, and then pulled it right through the heart. He's struggling out there. All four players are struggling on the lanes except for Ted Hannes, the game's best spare shooter right now for the 3-6-9.
And an open frame. The game's best spare shooter.
The difficulty factor. You cannot
Yes.
read the lanes across lane. We said they're very slick. The ball accelerates to the right when it starts going around. Now watch Mark's release as he tries to keep his hand on the ball. Here it is. He's got it in good position at the top. Then he starts to lose the ball, and he squeezes it and pulls across. You don't see Mark Roth pull across his body like that, and the ball just slides by the 3-6-9.
And the lead, Roth and Holman, has been cut to 12.
Now here's a man who's adjusting to everything out on the lane. He's putting tape in his thumb hole, seeing everybody else losing the ball in a downswing. Ted Hannes, who thrives on getting the ball way out over the line, put another piece of tape in the thumb hole. A smart move, Chris.
7th frame of the final game.
And he looks to that thumb hole to adjust it. Such a meticulous player. A lot of money on the line is a nervous Holman and Roth. They don't like the position they're in. They really had Husted and Hannes on the rope going in the 6th, and they've opened the door.
Three, 6-10. Though I don't think I've ever seen this type of tension or pressure showing on the bowlers in none of the head-to-head matches that we normally present. Boy, here you're seeing it. They're body jitters. They're just doing a little of everything.
They're nervous for themselves, and then the multiplicity factor of nervous for their partner. They don't want to let them down. So it's hard to get the ball rolling and get the momentum going again.
And chopping the 3-6 off the 10.
Another thing is the pace, Chris. Remember, a player like Hannes sat down on the approach and didn't bowl while 3 other players bowled. Here he chops the 3-6 off the 10. And for instance, coming up right now here, David Husted. It has to have been almost 5 minutes since Husted has been up there to even throw a shot. When you're bowling that slow, it's hard to get that rhythm also. Must start getting something together here because Holman and Roth aren't going to let him sit there and do that forever. So important to strike there. It's been a while.
It's been a while. Good reacting crowd here.
But what's so important as we see David Husted's ball drive all 10 pins in the pit is that he will be the anchor man, the key man. If it comes down to the very last frame, the last shot, he's zeroed on the left-hand lane, and he knows where he wants to go. Remember, he made the adjustment. In the 4th frame, he had trouble. Then in the 6th frame, he made another adjustment on the approach. He went high and missed the 3-6 spare just as Roth did. Now he's made that fine line adjustment of a half a board. Husted sets a strike up in the 8th.
And still denied his first strike in this championship match. Marshall Holman with a 10-pin on his lane, the right lane.
The 4th, 6th, and 8th frames have all been identical for Marshall Holman on the right-hand lane. The ball almost gets solid. You see that ball is an apparent solid hit, but you can tell by the reaction of the 6th pin. It lies there in the channel. It wasn't solid enough.
5th and final stop of the spring tour. Back again in January. Well done. Marshall stays right up there and now beckoning his partner Mark Roth. 23-pin lead, 9th frame.
The last shot for Roth, unless we'd happen to have a tie. 9th frame, Holman will bowl the 10th.
think everyone in the house figured that the 7 would go.
Well, not to be, and he's kept the ball in play, and the reason the players can't get that pin action, we said the lane surface is very slick, and the reason it gets that slick, Chris, is when it's as warm as it is in this building, that oil or lane conditioner carries down from the foul line towards the pit area and makes it very difficult to control the ball.
So now, tough Ted Hannes, he and his partner Husted, winner of 3 matches. He's up and drying that hand, making sure, because for Ted, it's the 9th frame where the strike up can cut the lead to 12. Big, big shot. .610.
Big trouble. He has to make this spare or they can't win the match. Right now for the Hannes and Husted, if Ted can convert this, he knows it's an errant shot right through the heart, gets a good break. For Hannes and Husted, a conversion here of the 610 spare would put them at a 160 pace. Then a double in the 10th by Husted would give them a chance to win.
Now Husted is quickly up, going against 2 professionals who have won 2 PBA doubles classics. Never here, but 2 in the past.
A must situation. He has to strike. He's got it.
Isn't it amazing? They rise to the occasion.
All the marbles could be riding on this shot. If he strikes here, he could cut the lead of Holman down to 12 pins and force the players, Marshall Holman, to mark in the 10th for a victory. But
25 to the winner, 13 to the runner-up. No, 2, 4, 5.
Marshall Holman and Mark Roth are going to spare their way into victory. They're going at a 182 pace, but the best Husted and Hannes can do is 160. I'm sure they're disappointed. Roth and Holman just keep in the building.
All right. Husted and Hannes in this game have had 3 strikes. Holman and Roth have had 1. It's a 160 for obviously tired Dave Husted and Ted Hannes. And now it's up to Marshall Holman, the PBA Doubles Classic.
Marshall needs 4 pins on this ball to lock it up. And there it is.
All right. 3rd PBA Doubles Classic title for Holman and Roth. Great effort by Hannes and Husted. Congratulations to all 4.
I crushed a lot of quarterbacks in my day, and I'm real sorry. So I wrote this letter. Dear quarterbacks, I apologize for the way I've treated you. Please let me buy you a light beer from Miller. Light's my beer because it tastes great. I'm sure it's yours, too, because you little guys can't afford to get filled up. Hope to see you soon. Sincerely, L.C. Greenwood.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
People say, what Japanese plug should I put in my Japanese car? I say for short trips, you need a hot plug. Helps stop misfiring. For long trips, a normal plug. Then I show them this plug with the longer power tip. This gives it a wide heat range. Works like 2 plugs in one, hot and normal. They say, wonderful Japanese plug. I say, not wonderful Japanese plug, wonderful American plug. Autolite. Autolite? American. Ah.
I hear that L.C. Greenwood has invited quarterbacks to join him for a light beer from Miller. Well, here's my reply. Dear L.C., I accept your gracious offer. A quarterback is far too intelligent to turn down a light beer because it's less filling and it tastes great. Even you big, clumsy linemen know that. Hope to see you soon. Sincerely, Bert Jones. Come on, Bert!
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
How'd he do that?
Mary Decker in the women's 1,500 meters, plus decathlon action and much more as the United States Olympic track and field trials continue next on ABC.
Chairman of the board, Showboat Hotel and Bowling Center, Joe Kelly presenting the plaque and $25,000, which will be split by the winners, Mark Roth, Marshall Holman, 169 to 160. The Professional Bowler Spring Tour has been brought to you by Pepto-Bismol. Pepto-Bismol coats, soothes, and relieves. Pepto-Bismol for most common stomach discomforts. By Sharp Electronics Corporation. From Sharp Minds come Sharp products. And by Wagner, the right tool for painting. Next, United States Olympic trials in track and field from Los Angeles, followed by ABC's Wide World of Sports featuring the WBC World Lightweight Championship. Howard Davis versus the champion, Edwin Rosario, live from San Juan. And a continuing report on track and field trials. Travel arrangements made through and a promotional fee paid by United Airlines. United flies to Hong Kong for more top business centers with 3-class Royal Pacific service. This has been an ABC Sports presentation.